Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Sorry, I said I was going to get a video up every Friday, but I got home from work. Again, it's been a long week. Here's the video I promised you on Friday, and today's video is about the M&P, Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. In a previous video, I think it was probably, I don't know, maybe the video previous to this one, I was at the range with a guy I met named Mike, and he had an M&P, Smith & Wesson M&P 9, and I loved it, and I didn't know that I would. I didn't think I would love it because of what I've heard from other guys about M&Ps. Found out that it was the M&P 2.0, did some research on it, and I actually ended up going out and buying it. So if that tells you anything, as I told you, I've been a Glock guy for 20 plus years, and it made me want to go out and buy one of these things because I really did enjoy the gun. So today, because I didn't actually have a chance to give you a real in-depth review at the range, with all the shots going on and me yelling over the camera, I just thought I would give you a review. I didn't do the unboxing. There's really not much that comes in the box. Pistol itself, I think 3 extra back straps and 2 magazines and a lock, if I'm not mistaken. So I didn't do the unboxing. Gun's been out for a while, so you probably can find an unboxing online if you're really interested in it. But I wanted to tell you how much I like this gun and the reasons why. And I wanted to compare it value for value for guys that are going out and buying new pistols these days. You're probably going to get caught up in that Glock fanboy or that H&K fanboy or even the M&P fanboy conversation or argument, and I wanted to give you my impressions of this pistol versus the Glock. So I don't have my Glock 19. It's actually out being modified. My Glock 19, I've had it for 20 plus years. It is a Gen 2 2-pin Glock 19, and I just thought I'd give it a facelift to bring it up to date a little bit. So I sent it off to do some modifications on it. Totally unusual for me because I am really the type of person that likes to keep his Glock stock. But it's an older gun, and I thought I'd add some value to it by doing a little bit of giving it a facelift. But for today, I'm going to be comparing the M&P against a Glock, but not the Glock 19. This is actually my Glock 30. But for the comparisons that I'm going to give you, it's an apples to apples comparison to the Glock 19. So let's get started. So when we're talking about these two pistols, we're talking about value. You're going to go out and you're going to find a lot of guys who are going to spend money thinking that you get what you pay for. And if you spend more, you'll get a more accurate gun that you can shoot that'll be more accurate. And that's totally not the case. There are some aspects of what you pay for may lead to better performance and better accuracy. But 95, 96, 97% of the time, if you're not hitting the targets because of you and not because of the pistol, you are the factor in that situation, not how much you pay for the pistol. I have been at the range and I've heard a guy who couldn't shoot, or a guy who, I'm going to say couldn't shoot, tell another guy who was struggling with his gun is because he spent less money for it. He bought a Taurus. He said you should have bought a more expensive gun, and that's not the case. You do not have to go out and buy a more expensive gun unless you're getting into competition where you might want to pay a lot more for a little bit for features that are going to help you out. Magwell, so if you can hear my daughter sneezing. Magwell, stuff like that, springs, modifications, yeah. But if you're using these for self-defense, carry purposes, or just all-around fun at the range, usually you can get very decent quality for not a high cost, I would say. I've had a video about my Taurus PT 111, $150 gun, shoots great, love it. So let's get into these good comparison of these two when we talk value for value. Again, I'm going to preface this by saying I am a Glock guy. Don't be confused. If I had to go out right now and I only could buy one, it's going to be a Glock. I'm going to give you my honest opinion on what I feel is a better value in this situation. So where am I at? I'm at 4 minutes. Let's get this started. So there's some things about the M&P. Let's start about price, cost. If I'm going to look at a new Glock 19, I'm probably going to end up spending somewhere around $500, maybe even up to $600, depending on where you're located. I was in the gun store yesterday, actually, in the Glock 19 XL it's a 19 profile with the extended magazine grip. I think that was up in the 5 something. So unless you're looking to go buy an older gen, a Gen 2, Gen 3, maybe even a Gen 4, you're probably going to still spend up to $400 on a Glock 19 or a Glock pistol. Whereas the M&P, I picked this one up off a gun broker for $310 plus the 3% credit card fee and the shipping cost. I ended up getting this for about $365, I think, shipped to my FFL and then having to pay a $25 FFL fee. So I got this for below $400, and that's M&P. That's not a High Point. That's not some off-name brand you never heard of. Even though there are some, I don't want to throw any names out there because there are some very good quality off-name brands that are just starting out. That is $400 for a very reliable pistol that is backed by a long time brand name warranty, all the things that you want when you go out and buy a pistol. If something goes wrong with this, I'm going to be able to send it off and get it repaired. On top of it, you also have a lot of aftermarket and things like holsters and accessories for pistols that are from, some of the more higher or the more known brands like M&P, H&K, Glock. So you're getting something that you be able to grow on and buy accessories for, stuff like that, for less than what you're going to pick up a Glock 19 for. So let's get into the features. Let's talk about what you're getting for your dollar, what you're getting your bang for your buck. When Glocks came out, they were probably the originator of the polymer frame, and they had to prove themselves. They had to prove that a polymer frame gun is not an unreliable gun. It's not a gun that's going to break if you drop it. So they were putting it in sand and dropping it and rolling cars over and freezing it and pulling it out of water and shooting it, bang, bang, bang. Okay, we understand now that the Glock works. Another thing that made Glock a little bit more controversial is the fact that it had no safety features other than the trigger spring, the trigger safety there in the center there. So in this situation, the safety is your brain. Your safety is always your brain. But in this situation, as long as you keep your finger off the trigger and you practice good trigger discipline, you had no problems and there would be no accidental discharge of this firearm. And that has been picked up by a lot of other pistols. For instance, the M&P 2.0. Sorry, I forgot the name. It's kind of going to be hard for me to keep track of these. The 2.0. When you take this down and you look at the individual components, it doesn't have the exact same trigger safety as the Glock 19. It has its own little trigger safety right here where it has like a little break in the trigger that kind of prevents it from being accidentally being pushed all the way to the back unless you actually have your finger on the trigger. But it's an adaptation of what Glock came up with or design. And when you take these pistols down, they almost both break down similar. This one has a different type of takedown pin or takedown spring. We got to push this one down to release it, pull back the slide a little bit, pull this down to release and slide it forward. Similar situation here, but then this one you want to pull the slide back, pull down the release lever and slide the slide forward after pulling the trigger, and you can take down both pistols. And the components that make up both pistols, I think there's only 4 components. There's the receiver, there's the slide itself, there's the barrel, and there's a recoil spring. So very similar when you take them down. And again, $500 versus $400, right? But let's get into what you get for the M&P, because we all know Glocks, right? We've seen Glocks. A lot of us right now, some people don't like it, but Glock is a very plain Jane, flat profiled, no machining, just plain gun that works, right? When you get into the M&P, while a lot of guys are sending these out right now to get them customized and make them look fancy, the M&Ps already comes with all of those, like a lot of those features that you would probably want to go out and spend extra $100 or $1,000 for on your Glock. So let's walk through feature for feature why I think this is a better value than your Glock 19. Let's start out with the grips. So if you thought about grips and you talk about texture and you're talking about, guys are getting this stippled, I've never really liked the fact that the Glocks have always been smooth plastic. Like I've said in that other video, you got nothing but smooth plastic. And even this texturing back here is just smooth as glass. You do have the finger grips on this one, but other gens you don't. And even on the Gen 5s, they just have like these little tiny bumps on it that give you some kind of grip. I guess they're supposed to give you grip. And we've always had to go out and spend extra money on top of what we pay for the Glock to go get something like this. What I have on here is skateboard tape. But you can get Talon grips and you can get other grips that kind of give you more grip on, or more purchasing grip on your pistol. Whereas the M&P 2.0 has this beautiful texturing. It's not stippling, but it's a nice rough sandpaper-like texturing. It also comes with 3 extra back straps. So you got not only the grip texturing, but you got 3 extra back straps to modify or give you your better grip. Now, the more recent Glocks do have back strap replacements, but again, this is a more expensive gun. So for less cost, you're getting the texturing and the back straps for more cost and about maybe similar reliability. You're getting the same thing from the Glock. Let's move on. When we talk about trigger safeties, they're both the same, right? So you got the trigger safety on this one. The Glock has that little piece that sticks out to keep you from pulling the trigger, whereas this one has this little, hopefully I can get the light in there, it has that little, you can see that little triangle back there in the back, but when you put your finger on it, you press right there, it pulls that trigger triangle away, and it actually lets you pull the trigger back. So same design, safety. This one doesn't have any external safeties, but with the M&P, you can actually purchase it for less cost with a manual safety over the Glock. So if you're a guy that likes a manual safety, they make an M&P for you with a manual safety. Now the Glock that was submitted for the military contract actually has a manual safety on it, but we're not sure if that's ever going to be released for the civilian market. So right now, if you want a Glock, you are sticking with what Glock has, and that's no manual safeties, but just the trigger safety. So let's work our way up to the slide. Again, a lot of us are going and taking our Glocks off, or plain Jane Glocks like this one, and we're taking them off and we're getting them sent out, and we are getting the slides modified, milled, and the machine, right, to put in better what do you call it, serrations. This one doesn't have serrations all the way on the front, but it's got little serrations here. And we're also sending off to have the slide lightened, you know, things like that. Already included for no extra cost with the M&P 2.0. And when I go in depth, deeper on it, when it comes down to it, if we're talking about shooting these things, they work. I shoot well with the Glock. I'm not going to lie. I have both of my Glocks have stock sights on them, but the sight picture on the Glock 19 is a little. I don't know if I can get that kind of in there. You can't get it. You can't see it. But the sight picture, first off, you got the plastic sights where these are steel, and the sight picture itself is just a little bit off. I mean, for the cost, I think Glock could have done better, so I don't have to go out and put another set of sights on it. But what some people don't like about the Glock sights is if you see that little outline there, the channel in the rear sight of the Glock doesn't actually show you the full dot on the front sight if you line them up appropriately. The bottom of that dot is cut off. So that channel isn't deep enough to see the whole picture on the front sight. Not a showstopper, because if you line up the top of the front sight with the top of the rear sights, it's good to go. But a lot of people are visual and they're looking for some reason they're going to focus on the fact that they can't see that whole dot, and it's going to take them an extra second to pull or get the sight picture and pull the trigger and hit the target. So that's a downside. Now again, on this one, on the 2.0, for less cost, you have steel sights, which seem to be a little bit more adjustable. I haven't taken this out, but usually when there's a set pin in there like that, or a set screw, you can untighten that and manually drift that from left to right without an expensive Glock sight pusher tool. You will have a need a pusher tool to adjust the left to right, or I guess I call it left and right, but it's windage maybe, I don't know. Well, you to manually move the front sight, you can also adjust that on the M&P. So you normally only adjust with the rear sight on the pistol, but you can actually manually, if you had to, move your front sight, maybe to get a better sight picture, or maybe to be, if you're left or right eye dominant, maybe to give you even more accuracy. I'm not sure why. I know I moved it on my SIG because my SIG had a fixed rear sight, and I had to kind of move the front sight to kind of line it up because it was shooting a little bit off. But again, for no extra cost, you get steel sights, iron sights on the M&P 2.0, and the sight picture is actually pretty good. If I can get that to line up, the sight picture is actually very, very nice, because what you get on this is you get a nice deep sight channel. You get this low gloss, non-reflective back with the two contrasting white dots with a white dot on the front, and I really do like that. So again, another cool feature about the M&P 2.0. But let me put this down for a second. Sorry, excuse me. So one of the things, the reasons that I didn't buy, I said in the previous videos, I didn't buy the M&P series because everybody I talked to was like, yo, M&P triggers absolutely freaking suck. Some of you guys in my previous video said they don't suck. I had one, you know, there was a law enforcement officer, thank you for your service. And I said he's had one issued to him since he knows when, he doesn't know when, and he had, you know, one Gen 1 trigger and he loved it. But a lot of guys give you that feedback that the thing sucks and you don't want to risk it or go out and spend extra costs. So you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to pass, I'm going to go with something else. And then you're going to get caught up in that Glock fanboy stuff where you see thousands of people like Glocks and they go out and spend their money on Glocks. Do not do that, okay? So, because I'm going to tell you something right now. My Glock 30 actually, my Glock 19 might not be as bad. That little piece of plastic that sticks out there in the trigger, after putting 300 rounds, especially through this Glock 30, which had a harder trigger pull. Usually your 45, your 10 millimeters have a little bit of a harder trigger pull. That thing starts to dig into your finger. And I know what you're saying. Stop being a snowflake, grow some calluses, grow some balls, and deal with it. But if you're out of the range trying to have fun, that thing starts to get to you. And I've been there. I've been there at 250 rounds. I'm like, yep, done shooting 45 for today, right? I like the trigger on this pistol. And before we get into actual trigger break, I like the fact that that contour trigger is flat and flush and my finger has nothing that digs in, no little piece of metal that digs in and hurts my finger. Call me a snowflake, call me what you want. I like that about that. Now let's talk about the Glock's trigger. Let's see. Again, I've had this. We've checked it. It's clear. The Glock's trigger, and I'll try to do it this way. Let's see if I can do it with my other hand. No, it still blocks the camera. So I don't know why I thought that would work, but let's do it this way. Okay. So the trigger on the Glock 19, I'm trying to get the light in there. Okay, so I'm going to pull this trigger. That's the wall. That's the wall right there. Now look at that mush. Mush, 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 mush. Click, it goes off. Very mushy trigger. Not a clean break. That one's got a 3.5 pound connector in it, which makes the trigger pull lighter with some tuning springs, which makes the trigger pull lighter, but a lot of mush through that wall until you actually get the break. This is the reason why I said I like this trigger at the range. Let's get that together. I'm going to try to do it the same way. Okay, I'm going to hit that wall. I'm going to pull it back to the wall like that. That's the wall. It stopped, right? And if I squeeze, 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 I don't feel any much. I feel like a millimeter, like right there. Hear that little click? I feel that little spring tension click up and then click. Very clean, very solid, very crisp, like a stick of celery break on this thing. I'll do that again. And pull it back. You're not going to get all that, like, 4, 5, 3, I don't want to say 3 millimeters, like 2 or 3 millimeters, like almost a secondary stage on the Glock 19. You get that little, where you feel that tension in that spring, but that's the wall. You feel that tension in that spring and then click, right? Let's see the reset. The reset is here. That's the reset, and then, again, a little bit, not like a millimeter, and then click. That's a nice trigger. Not a performance series gun, stock M&P 2.0. These are the reasons why I like this gun. So I'm going to stop talking because it is actually, let's see, it's 8:45 on January. I don't know why I want to say December. I don't know. I'm still stuck in last year. January 20th. I'm planning on going to the range today, so what I want to do is I want to post this video up, get it out, and then get to the range and shoot another one. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel, guys. I'm doing this now because I like to do it. As you may have heard, a lot of gun channels are catching a lot of flack from YouTube. They don't want to monetize. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. It's controversial. But I do this because I like to shoot and I want to share it with you guys. What I can promise you is here on Big Ball Vlogs, we'll never turn this into a political debate. This is about guys who enjoy their freedoms, who enjoy shooting, and enjoy sharing. So please keep that in mind when you leave comments. If you don't want to play, or you don't want to play nice, you want to call people names, I will delete you and I will block you. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. I'll get back to you soon. Talk to you later. Bye.